The Arctic air has invaded the United States. Right now, 70% of the nation feeling below freezing temperatures. That's not even counting in the wind chill and how low that's going. This morning, the AMH crew is live fighting the bitter cold. I'm meteorologist Stephanie Abrams live at LaGuardia, where we have 2-hour delays. I'll tell you why we have those delays. Meteorologist Jim Cantori in Woodstock, where he's knee-deep in snow, and Jen Carfagno in Cleveland, experiencing the lake effect from the system. We're going to bring you the aftermath of Harper and, of course, our next storm already named. That would be Indra. All right, let's first talk about what's happening here in New York on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day. One of the parades had to be canceled because of the cold. There's also in Pittsburgh cancellations at schools and businesses and delays because of the cold. Our high today won't get above zero when you're talking wind chills. It's going to feel 5 to 15 degrees below zero the entire day. Millions of people staying inside because of the cold, and they did so this weekend with Harper. Tens of thousands without power, mainly in Connecticut. But for others, staying inside wasn't an option. They're like, freezing, snow. Great, I'm going to go outside and surf. Not just go outside, but hit the waves. And look at this. It will never cease to amaze me every winter when we see this happening. About a half dozen people hit the waves Sunday, I should say, Lake Michigan in Whitting, Indiana. Now, Harper might be finished when it comes to precipitation, but it is leaving a lot of very strong winds in its wake. We had our top snow total over 23 inches. Our top ice total in Connecticut, a half an inch of ice accumulation. And then we had tornadoes, one in Alabama, an EF2 and an EF1 at Tyndall Air Force Base as well. But, Jim, you know, it's a little deceiving because it's beautiful blue skies, right? So people might be thinking at the airport, why are we seeing so many delays and problems? The wind actually causes way more problems. Yesterday, the airport, I'm telling you, LaGuardia, was pretty much running on time, and that's when all the rain was coming through. Today, blue skies and 2-hour delays.
Yeah, and in backlog, too, because some of the planes that didn't come in yesterday because of the cancellations, they have to get those in and then, you know, kind of restart the system, if you will. So it's kind of a pain as a result of that. Let's talk a little bit about what we got going on. Again, as I mentioned this morning, all of Vermont, the entire state of Vermont is below zero right now, temperature-wise. Our wind chills are 10 to 30 below. We've got wind chill warnings out through early this afternoon, not surprisingly. Interstate 87, which they call the Northway, that goes through Albany, New York, is snowpack 91, 93, 89. All these areas have issues, but they've done a nice job in scraping everything down. I mean, especially here in Woodstock. Just a wonderful job of getting all the equipment out and around. The sidewalks are clear. The roads are as clear as they can be. And I actually like, you know, growing up here, I can tell you, when you have a little bit of snow on the ground, okay, or on the road, it grips. Okay, it grips a little bit. So it's not as slippery as, let's say, it was clear asphalt. It's nice to have a little bit of snow on the ground. Let's talk about this. I want to recap the storm for you because it was a beast. Going back to the Midwest, Heron Lake in Minnesota, 15 inches. Madison, South Dakota, 14 inches. Remember, when it started snowing 2 days ago, 2.5 days, I can't remember now. It was like in the single digits. So little water produced actually a lot of snow here. Very effective snow producer, the cold air is. All right. Then as this moved east, look what happened. The radar lit up from Texas all the way up into the Ohio Valley because we tapped into the Gulf of Mexico, right? And then as the storm moved east and started to mature as a cyclone, we watched an area of rain and snow work its way through Dallas, work its way through Nashville, all right, and then work its way through West Virginia. So that was on the backside of the storm, and, of course, the cold temperatures followed in through that. So there you see the big snow. Pretty much, again, that area from the Mass Pike down into Connecticut, up to southern Vermont, New Hampshire, back into the eastern tier of New York. Even where we were, we mixed in with a little bit of sleet, but there was more freezing rain across interior Connecticut, and we still have power outages this morning as a result of that. And you hate that when it gets so doggone cold afterward in a situation like this. We had thunderstorms in Rhode Island, a couple of episodes of thunder snow up into Maine as this thing moved on through. But yesterday, what a day to be in New England. You've got a powder day of 12 to 16 inches new at any ski resort in Vermont, okay? And then you go afterward, on your way home, you stop off, you watch the Patriots pull a phenomenal move in Kansas City. 2 overtime. I'm just, it was unbelievable to be a football fan yesterday. I can't get over it. I was almost as big a football fan yesterday as I was a weather fan. That's how incredible it was. So a half inch or more of ice across many of these areas. Again, Newburgh, New York, 4/10. If you ever driven through Newburgh, you come 84 west out of Danbury, you cross into New York State, you get into Newburgh. Beautiful little town there. My grandmother used to live there. And as we mentioned, Hudson Falls, New York, the big winner at 23.1 inches of snow. All right, Jen, so single digits, below zero readings mean nothing on the thermometer until you add the wind, right? That's what makes it hurt.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, it's so true, Jim. It's not the cold at all. I've been out in temperatures this cold. It's not a big deal, but it is the wind. It's cutting right through you. It feels like 9 below right now. We actually gained a degree this morning, but look, it doesn't make a difference. It feels cold out here. I'm bundled up. You and Steph were talking about layers before. I've got 4 shirts, 2 jackets, 4 thin pairs of pants, 2 socks, mittens, 2 hats. Yes, bundled up, and joking that I'm like the kid from the Christmas Story, right, Ralphie? And I think it's very apropos because I'm in Public Square in Cleveland, and this is actually where they shot the opening scene from A Christmas Story. That's it. That's Terminal Tower. Behind it is the store that was the where it was a toy store, or anyway, one of the stores that was the opening scene. But that's here in Public Square in Cleveland. Appropriate that we are bundled up out here this morning. So you can see behind me, there's some snow in the grassy areas. Look, they've cleared everything right here. We're down to pavement, and everything is just wet in terms of anyone trying to walk. But you can see where they've kind of shoved all the snow, and this is just like a brick of ice. I mean, when you go into it, it's very crusty and very icy, and so that's what a lot of you are dealing with at the ends of your driveways, at the ends of your streets. So, outside of the city, be extremely cautious in traveling today. We are going to be watching for some lake effect snow still continuing. I've noticed the sky is kind of brightening up a little bit over the last, say, hour. Now, we will see some of those lake effect bands coming down. They're not as heavy as they were yesterday. We still have some of a connection to Lake Huron. That's how we ended up getting the bigger lake effect snows that we did yesterday. Just Lake Erie itself probably isn't wide enough. It's only about 50, 60 miles across there to give us a good lake effect snow in Cleveland. But when you get that connection from both lakes, you end up getting a little bit more. At the Cleveland airport, 2.7 yesterday, 6.2 the day before, so 8.9 total. That's a big deal for us here in Ohio. We had more than a foot in several locations around Mansfield. You had 13.4 inches of snow, and that's, of course, still getting cleaned up out there as we've got the DOT crews out. Looking at the additional snowfall today, it won't be much, mainly close to the lakes, and then really dying down by this afternoon. All right, let's go back out to Steph in New York City for more on what's happening there with travel.
Jen, my guess is it's the Red Ryder BB gun. When he sees it in the window, that's at the beginning. That's what he wants, the whole movie.
Yeah,
so I wonder if that was the scene that was there. Yes.
Yeah.
And he sees it in the window, right? And he is like, oh, there it is, the Red Ryder BB gun. All right, Jen, thanks for that memory. A lot of people can relate to that. Let's talk about our travel delays here at LaGuardia. 2-hour delays because of the wind, not because of the snow. But let's find out if they are having issues due to the snow in places like Rochester. Harper dumped 17 inches of snow there. Of course, wind chills well below zero. We want to talk to the Deputy Mayor of Rochester, Jim Smith. So, Jim, how is it this morning after having all of that snow? Were you guys able to clear everything, or did you have any freezing issues overnight?
Yeah, so Steph, good morning, and we do snow here, so we certainly have been able to get after it. We've had 200 pieces of equipment and operators on the roads since Saturday. It includes street plows, sidewalk plows. We've even put 20 refuse trucks out on the road with plows on them. So we've been able to make our rounds both on the major arterials, residential streets, and even our sidewalks. Of course, today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which is, unfortunately a little bit snowy, but it's helpful in that the schools are closed, so that makes it a little easier going here. But we do snow in Rochester. In fact, at the Eastman Theater, we have a huge Martin Luther King Day event, and that event is going as planned with a lot of folks, and the sidewalks are cleared, and the roads are cleared, people can park. So we're getting on with business as usual up here.
If you guys can't do it, nobody can. I'll say that. So, yes, you guys are setting a very good example there. Speaking of schools, do you think there will be any problems tomorrow morning? Because it'll still be quite frigid tomorrow.
Yeah, so probably tomorrow the assessment will have to be made based on temperature. We've got kids out there at bus stops and walking, and we'll have to, make that determination. But, as far as the city goes, we're going to make another run at the sidewalks and be sure that they're passable. So if there is school, the kids will be able to get there.
All right, you guys need to teach a class in this stuff. Are there shelters open today for anybody?
Say that again. I couldn't hear you.
Any shelters that are open today?
Yeah, so we have a plan, actually, and that usually involves when there's power outages. So we haven't experienced any power outages, so we do not have warming shelters open, but we do have shelters available for folks if they're homeless, et cetera, and we are making sure that their needs are met.
Yep.
And that's really where we're at.
Okay, Jim, we certainly appreciate you coming on and stay warm up there. So I know for them it's like nothing. I mean, you go to these places upstate, they're like, Abrams, I mean, so what? It's 3 below. That's what we love here, in upstate New York. All right, speaking of warming centers, actually in New York City are at a code blue, so they are taking care of the homeless that need to find shelter. And speaking of warming here at the airport, I just want to show you real quick. They have these nice little heaters for the men and women who are checking people in and taking luggage out on the sidewalk as it is bitterly cold. Now, you had to take care of yourself yesterday if you were at the football game, especially in Kansas City. Face masks, scarves, heavy coats. I mean, it was brutal at Arrowhead Stadium. Also brutal because the home team did not win, right? Patriots beating the Chiefs 37-31. They just froze them out there of going to the Super Bowl. Temperatures at 5 p.m. around kickoff dipped to below 20 degrees with the wind chill at 8 degrees. We could talk football. I know Jim was talking about it. I still don't think the coin toss is fair. I think everyone should have a chance to score, like in college, right? Or it used to be like that. All right, so here's that cold air coming in. With that snow, what happens is this cold air goes south, and it usually moderates. But if it's going over a cold layer of air, it acts like a refrigerator, and it's going to keep that air mass colder than it would be if there was no snow on the ground. So temperatures in the single digits, teens, with our wind chills, 20, 30 below. You have to be very careful with skin exposure. Even our highs today, yeah, it says on the thermometer single digits, teens, but like here in New York City, just as an example, 5 to 15 below zero wind chills the entire day. So there's going to be no break for us here. And with that said, I mean, look at Albany, New York, 25 below. You could get frostbite in a matter of 30 minutes. So today's the day, get your scarf up over your nose like this, maybe the goggles so that nothing is exposed. I'm telling you, Kelly, my hands, I don't know if you can tell on camera, they're already starting to get red and cracked and dried out. So lotion is going to be a big seller and user, but it's amazing. I take my hand in and out of my gloves already getting red.
You have the heat warmers, don't you? Do you have heat warmers?
Yeah, I do. And I have a glove on this. This hand's totally fine because I have a glove and a heat warmer in this and a heat warmer in this big glove. But, in order to do stuff, I gotta have exposure sometimes.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And Steph, you were mentioning earlier 2-hour delays for LaGuardia. Well, guess what? Boston has you beat. Just check the airport schedule here. We're running on a 3.5-hour delay. And Boston, we're at least above zero this morning, but not by much. 5 degrees. Dangerous wind chills out there as well. We're talking negative teens. This is what it feels like right now, minus 14. We also have a coastal flood advisory in effect. We could see some flooding along the coastal sections, especially at high tide, 11 o'clock this morning. Should not be as bad as the moderate flooding we saw in some places yesterday. All right, significant temperature drop after Harper. We were worried about a flash freeze because of just how low the temperature dropped. You can see yesterday's high, 37 degrees in Boston. Today, we're going to be in the single digits to around 10 degrees, but those wind chill values are going to be below zero for much of the day, so we do have a wind chill advisory that goes right through tomorrow morning. Well, Winter Storm Harper is now linked to 7 deaths. The latest, a 12-year-old girl in Illinois. She died when a snow fort collapsed and buried her. Her friend survived and is hospitalized for hypothermia. New this morning, Harper left its deepest snow in upstate New York, 23 inches in Hudson Falls.
Beautiful day in Albany, isn't it?
Before you could leave Albany, you had to uncover your car. Snow in New York's capital, 14 inches deep Sunday.
Oh, just trying to get unburied so I can get back to Rochester. And it's not going to, like I said, it's not going to be a pretty ride.
Traffic moved at a generous pace on Interstate 87 through Albany, but the snow and ice did cause hundreds of crashes, spin-outs, and slide-offs. Cold weather veterans hit the roads prepared.
Wore warm clothes, boots, flashlight, food, water, blanket. All the things that you would do if you were going to go camping out in the wintertime.
The Hudson River at Troy, New York, nearly iced over. Ditto that for the boats in Freeport Harbor in Maine. Winds gusting to 30 miles per hour churned big surf that pushed water onto Boston streets. The Sunday Symphony sounded the same across Connecticut. The snow, heavy and wet in places.
It helps if you break it up. Just a little with your shovel, just drive down into it and loosens it up and makes it nice and easy.
And while snow is work for some, others seem to glide through the storm. 1, 2, 3, go! Harper prompted airlines to cancel nearly 4,000 flights over the weekend. That stat from FlightAware. Boston Logan led the cancellation list yesterday. On Saturday, it was Chicago O'Hare where we saw several inches of snow as well. So it's all about playing catch up today, Jim.
It really is, Kel, and we got delays at 3.5 hours at Logan's Airport in Boston, so we're not out of the woods yet.
And it's time for your travel update, and we want to take you to Madison County Airport. A power outage at Duane County Regional Airport in Madison, Wisconsin has closed the terminal. The airport is asking passengers not to travel to the airport until they receive further notice. They're trying to see what caused the outage. We're live here at LaGuardia Airport, and first I want to talk about what happened yesterday. This weekend, actually, almost 4,000 cancellations, so they're going to be playing catch-up today for that. And here at LaGuardia, we're talking 2-hour delays on average because of the wind. That's actually what causes most problems for planes, is that wind, gusting 20, 30 miles an hour, sustained around 20 miles an hour, gusting near 40 at times. And you can see the winds blowing over the airport, especially with a crosswind over the airport. That's highly problematic. And we only have 2, runways here. But you're going to see delays. That's going to trickle down. Boston is seeing 3-hour delays. And, of course, we will see more and more. Of course, here on the sidewalk, if you're checking in, the men and women who are checking people in have nice heaters above them, so that helps them out. We want to take you inside the airport also, here through these doors. Thanks, guys. And just show you the boards, because it is really starting to pile up. And I'm hoping, because it's a holiday, it's not as packed right now, with people. But that still doesn't matter. There's plenty of flights that come in and out of New York, and everyone has to take their coats off, has to take their scarves off, have to take their hats off. Don't forget when you're in security to grab those out of your bin. But look at the arrival delays. This is the problem. The 2 hours is for flights that are arriving. They're keeping them in their home base for 2 hours. These are delayed, canceled, canceled, delayed, delayed, cancel, 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 cancel. And then that, of course, is going to roll over to our departures, where we're already seeing some cancellations and some that are being delayed as well. So, Jen, it's going to be a rough day of travel. And it's so deceiving, though, because you're like, there are blue skies out. What's the problem?
Right, exactly. No, exactly. It's always the wind that gets you in the Northeast right there. We did really well here in Cleveland. There were only a handful of cancellations over the weekend, despite our close to 9 inches of snow that we saw, which is a big deal. But speaking of the sky, I got to mention that we're actually finally getting some clearing out here behind me. You can kind of see peaks of blue. That is not the case all over Cleveland. The skies actually are cloudy on the other side of the camera, and that's where we do have some lake effect snow still coming down right now. And look, I'm getting a few snowflakes flying around in the air as well. That's going to be at least the first half of today and what it looks like. Then things start changing. And we got to talk about that, because Cleveland is cold this morning. It's about 10 degrees. It feels 9 below out here right now. I know it's even colder out in some of the burbs. I was looking on Weather Underground and saw some spots down into the low single digits, even below 0. But by tomorrow, everyone is warming up to 35 degrees. And when the next system comes in, it comes as rain in Cleveland. Yes, Tuesday night, we dropped to 32, and that's it. And we are in the 40s when the system comes here on Wednesday with rain coming in. How does that happen? Well, let's take a look. It all starts in the west, and that's where our system, this is Winter Storm Indra, really getting its act together right now. You can see the dip in the jet stream. We've got that outlined for you, and we've circled where that next piece of energy is. I got to point out, though, this is another system that is coming in from the Pacific. This is not a Clipper-type system, so that's why it's got the chance to be, again, a bigger snowmaker. And so we're tracking it. It's got to tap into that subtropical moisture, too. You can see that moisture coming in from the Pacific out there, from the southwest, and that's driving our snow that's already falling falling in parts of Utah. Now, Salt Lake City still rain, but about to be changing over to snow, and already an inch of snow up in Logan and Utah. So get ready for several inches of snow up here. Winter storm warnings are in effect for Salt Lake City, and then the advisory spread out into the plains for tonight into tomorrow. So here it comes. Here's the system as the low develops. Once we get that surface low developing in Colorado, we're going to see this low track up here into the Midwest, taking a little more northern track. So that means that the warm air is going to be a little bit farther north as well, bringing the rain all the way up into southern parts of Iowa. You know, seeing some light snows out there right now, no big deal kind of stuff, but it's on the increase as we go through the day today. Watching the forecast here, you can see snow spreading in by Tuesday morning all across the Great Lakes. We got the snow coming in by Tuesday midday. Yes, Ohio, our active weather comes in on Tuesday night, and we start to see the rain. It comes in as rain, and rain coming down throughout the day on Wednesday with temperatures in the 40s. Now, there will be somewhat of a cool down on the backside, and so we could mix with a little snow at the end, but that's not really the predominant feature that we will get here in Ohio. It will be rain coming in, and on top of the snowpack, that's going to make it pretty messy, right? The new snow will be coming in into southern Wisconsin, southern parts of Minnesota, and northern parts of, say, Iowa. In the Northeast, look how far north the snow is going to be. Really, northern Maine, that's it. Everyone else will be rain with this next system, and that's where Steph is going to pick it up. You know, Steph, it's rain to rain pretty far north, but also thunderstorms again to the south, Steph.
It is. You know, we had a couple tornadoes reported with Harper, Tyndall Air Force Base in EF1. There was one in Alabama that it was in EF2. And, you know, we are going to see some storms with this next one. Rain will be the main. This one is not as strong as Harper. It's still going to have a punch to it. Don't get me wrong. But just to give you a little idea of the rain coming in tomorrow night, as we head into Wednesday, look on the backside of this. Notice it's not snow like it was with Harper. It's that wintry mix. So, you know, I don't want to be deceiving and say, oh, this is not going to be that bad. It's still going to be a significant storm. Don't get me wrong. But, you know, when you're comparing it to Harper, we don't have that snow on the backside. There are the chance of storms all the way through our Thursday here along the East Coast, you know, and you can't ever rule out that severe weather. So 1 to 2 inches of rain. Nashville, you get that mix of rain and snow, but notice the temperatures. They're going to be cold behind Indra, but again, not as cold as Harper. 54 to 24 in Nashville. New York, near 50 Thursday, then it crashes out for the weekend. We'll talk more about the crashing temperatures next.
We are feeling it in Cleveland.
Got about a foot of new snow.
Winter Storm Harper is about the snow, and then it's about the cold.
We are in it, knee deep in it, as a matter of fact.
Tenth largest January storm on record.
Welcome back. We continue our live team coverage of Winter Storm Harper. We'll get out to our crews in just a moment. Thanks for staying with us this morning. Winter Storm Harper left quite a mark across the nation from the West Coast all the way to the east. The highest snowfall amount recorded in Washington County, upstate New York, with 23 inches of snow. Let's see how Harper stacked up. We begin in California. Across the high Sierra, it's been a pretty active winter season, actually, so far for a place like Squaw Valley. We're 77 inches before Harper. Then we got another 46. Now we're up over 10 feet. All right, we're going to talk about Binghamton, New York, here in Broome County, where before Harper we had not as much snowfall, about 40.2 inches, but now with more than a foot of snow with Harper, we are looking at a surplus now of more than 13 inches. All right, we finally made a little bit of a dent in our snow drought in Boston, picking up 5 inches or so, but we still have a deficit for the season of more than a foot. I know, Jim, where you are in Woodstock, Vermont, you did very well. Okemo, everything's open. Killington, all but 10 trails are open right now.
Yeah, so Taftsville, Vermont, which is to my north, they got 19 inches out of this thing. So there's a little bit more banding. They never mixed in with sleet, We did for a little while, but we also got a nice burst last night on top of our sleet. So you can see what we got here on the snow stick. On the Thunder Snow Whisperer snow stick, 16 inches of new snow into here. And if you've ever been to the green, which I know Stephanie has in Woodstock, Vermont, you know that there's some nice benches here to come over and sit on. You just have to find them to get down on these benches, all right? And I'll just kind of do this one nice and relaxed. All right, let's recap Harper for you here this morning and talk about the snow totals. You can see that nice little pink dot that's sitting across upstate New York. That is where we find Hudson Falls, New York, 23.2 inches. Crushed. There was a huge area across northern New England that dealt with anywhere from 18 to 20 inches of snow. This is actually very well forecast. All right, especially once we grab down to the warmer air coming in. But you get down toward the Mass Pike, that's where we started getting to the icy problems. Look at those temperatures. Oh, it's cold. But you know what? It's really not bad out here. We don't have the wind that they have in other spots. I actually think it's windier in Boston and New York this morning, which is why we have these epic delays going on down there that Steph's been talking about. And look at Burlington, though. Now, Burlington's a little bit different. They're down in the valley. All right, they're in the Champlain Valley. You have the cold air coming across Lake Champlain, and boy, does it bite you, Steph. And you know what's, I think you would agree. I would rather have 10 below, no wind, than 10 below with the wind chill. What say you?
Yeah. Jim, I mean, I'd rather 10 below, no wind than like 10 above and wind blowing. That's what I would be okay with. So let's talk about that wind chill, Jim, because it's not only for us here in the Northeast. And just because we're in the Northeast doesn't mean we're not covering, the entire country.
Right. Right. And we're going to talk about other states with these wind chill advisories. And notice, where we have the warnings, the entire state of Vermont, the Berkshires, a mass elevation. You get out of the Hudson Valley, you start going up in elevation. All right, that's where we've got wind chill advisory, all the way down through Appalachia. So West Virginia, North Carolina, even into northern Georgia, we have those wind chill advisories. So a million of you actually under those alerts where we will see frostbite temperatures be down there, because they can actually calculate how long you have, Steph, exposed skin outside where you get that frostbite. And obviously the colder the temperature and even the stronger wind go into that calculation, right?
They do. So, I mean, look at, up towards Saranac Lake. You're talking about 10 minutes. So, anywhere from 30 minutes to 10 minutes. That's not a very long time, even 30 minutes. So, Jim, it's bringing your scarf up over your nose, wearing the goggles, because those cheeks and your nose are the first to go.
Yes, I can attest for that. And those of us that have, kind of a Pinocchio thing going on with our noses tend to get the frostbite first. Hey, the good news is, though, with this Arctic blast for New England, check out what happens in places like Boston. We are in and out of this because we're waiting for that storm that's coming into California and the Four Corners today. As that moves across and out into the plains, it actually begins the warming trend. But we are not done with the cold, Jen Carfagno, because we know that once the Pacific storm comes through, we unleash really several cold pockets that will take us even into early February, right?
Yeah, that's true. Jim, I was going to say, maybe if you tell the truth more, you won't have as many problems with frostbite. Just kidding. All right, we're going to be back more to talk about our next system that is going to be heading east.
And new video into the Weather Channel. Scary moments caught on camera as a train smashes into a snowplow in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio last night. Now, the truck got stuck on the rails as it was clearing snow. Thankfully, the driver was able to escape before the train hit and no one was injured. But what a scary scene. They picked up about a foot of snow here, a little over, in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. Look at that. Whew. All right, now we go to the south where we're also having issues on the roads. It's cold down there. Let's go down to the Atlanta area. We've got, temperatures here that have really dropped significantly, and the problem has been a water main break. So there's a major road in the Atlanta metro shut down because of ice. A water main break spilled water all over Druid Hills Road, northeast of downtown. The frigid temps froze the water onto the roadways, and it is pretty icy. All lanes are shut down until the ice melts. You can see it sort of gleaming out there too with that sun. So the sun will help. The little salt would help as well. All right, guys, cold is definitely a big part of the story here. I am bundled up. I came back out here to the other side of Public Square in Cleveland so that you can see actually what is now Jack Casino, but was Higbee's department store. And, you know, I'm going back to the movie A Christmas Story. I have to, because I'm so bundled up in layers just like little Ralphie, and I think it's perfect. We didn't even know it when we came out here this morning, but perfect that we decided to set up right here. Yeah, cold is part of the story here in Cleveland. You notice as you look at the pavement around the square, everything is clear. They cleared and they salted, and that's the case here in Ohio. They did a great job on the roadways. There are going to be icy and slushy spots. Obviously, not everything can get done with the more than 12 to 13 inches that a lot of folks saw outside of the metro area. But let's go to the travel today, because we still have a little bit of lake effect snow falling. You'll see that across northern Ohio. Know that there are going to be still some issues, the potential for that. There was a big accident at, was it 480 and 176 in the southwestern part of the state. They had to close portions of those roads for a while. It was a 3-vehicle, including a tractor trailer. If we have a little more additional snow coming down today on 90 in New York State, too, including around the Rochester area. And then it's really all about the cold. And it's the cold that has froze anything overnight, areas of black ice. Even if you got no snow at all from this system, everyone now has dropped well below 32 degrees. In fact, most of us have dropped below 10 across a good chunk of the Northeast, and that has led to the concern for black ice. On the roadways, especially, bridges and overpasses are susceptible to this because they're completely surrounded by this cold air, and if they're not treated, anything that was wet and didn't dry up is going to be slippery. Also be aware of your front steps, your driveways, your walk into to your office here. If it wasn't put salt down, if you see anything that looks wet at all, know that it probably, or at least expect that it could be icy. All right, so that's what's happening here when it comes to travel. Let's go back up to Jim Cantore. And Jim, I think a good way to travel today would be either by cross-country skis or how about snowmobile?
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's perfect, Jen. Get the snow machine out and just whip across this powder. The good news is you have to be prepared for it. So think about it. Upstate New York, the central tier of New York, the Leatherstocking region, all the way into northern New England, just a huge dump of 10 to 20. Look at this stuff. I mean, it's knee deep out and through here. So it's tough to walk through. It's tough to trudge through. But we want you to go snowmobiling, certainly if you have the ability to do so. We want to keep you safe. All right, our big Weather Channel meteorologist, Ray Stajic, he's a huge snowmobiler, all right? And I want to talk to Ray a little bit. He joins us back from our Atlanta studios. Ray, you and I have both been out in snow machines, you more than me. Right. It's a $56 billion industry back in 2018. But you know what? This type of snow, especially when we're talking 20 inches of it, you can have some issues out there with your machine, can't you?
Yeah, you certainly can, Jim. I mean, one of the things you want to think about is your visibility, right? So, helmet, make sure you have a shield on, and that shield needs to be defrosted, too. Some of the biggest things you come up against, Jim, when you're out there is what you're seeing here is, while you're riding, you actually end up with snow in the face from all those machines in front of you. This is a picture from a couple of years ago. That's me in the back there. And, you want to make sure your visibility is good. You certainly want to stay warm. But the two most important things, Jim, when we go out, we always worry about food and fuel, and then keeping yourself warm.
Absolutely. But let's talk about that, because you're essentially creating a very cold wind chill factor, especially on a day like this. All right. So, let's say here we got 10-mile-per-hour winds. Our wind chill is about 20 degrees below zero. It's 4 below outside. But when you're on a snowmobile and you're going 20 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour, you're hammering that that wind chill factor. You're down around 40 degrees below zero.
Yeah, you are, and that takes into account, what's blowing up against you. Usually it's from about the chest up, Jim, that you experience most of that, let's call it pain from the wind and the cold. So hands are good on hand warmers. The feet are usually good.
It is pain.
Yeah, so your extremity's usually good. But, Jim, here's a solution for the cold in the head. I'm going to put it on for you. This is the best tool out there right now. Now, call it what you want. Cover the face, cover the head, put the helmet over the top of it. It's got many names: turtle fur, balaclava. We call it baklava. But give it the name that you want. These things are hot in the winter season up in Old Forge where we go. And the timing perfect for this segment, Jim. Heading up tomorrow, heading up to Old Forge, you're going to have a great time. We've got plenty of snow.
Oh, my God, you crushed that forecast. And, yeah, even out here, standing out in it, whether you're snowmobiling or not, we're doing good. Ray, where can people go, by the way, to get the latest trail conditions? I'm going to ask you one more question. Yeah,
you can find the website for Old Forge. It's oldforgeny.com, I believe. And actually in Vermont, the vast snow traveler system has a website, too, for snowmobile conditions in Vermont, too. Tug Hill also has snowmobile conditions. I mean, just Google Tug Hill snow conditions or Old Forge trail conditions. Plenty of snow conditions coming up there. And just want to let you know, Jim, I don't know if people realize that, but in New York State, 10,000 miles of snowmobile trails, and most of them are groomed either by local clubs, volunteers, or by some of the state funding.
Yeah, so it's good to have people go out and pack that trail. It makes everybody's job a little bit easier. You never want to get stuck out there. Ray, great stuff, buddy. Always great talking to you. Have a great time again out there. It's just cold. That's the deal. But again, guys, just to give you kind of a wrap-up here in Woodstock, here we are. This went all the way down. We kind of had an icy crust. I went all the way down to the icy crust. So there's 16 new right here in Woodstock. Fantastic MLK weekend with this new snow. People are out enjoying it in droves. All right, guys, welcome back to the green here in Woodstock, Vermont, as we continue to assess the storm and talk about the cold wind chills this morning. I'm strapping myself back in here just to kind of give you a little idea of what we got. It's knee-deep out here. All right, we had the bulk of this yesterday, which came pretty heavy. We had about 1 to 2 inches an hour. And as we kind of walk over and look at the stick, you can certainly see what we had or we're left with, about 16 inches here. Just to my north, by the way, Taftsville, Vermont, crushing it with 19 new. I want to bring in my good friend, Abigail. Abigail, say your last name for me.
Zenai.
There we go. Better you say it than me, okay? You're out here. You're not taller than me in real life, but you are today. Why is that?
I'm wearing snowshoes.
I want everybody to see these.
Under the snow.
How much fun is that to be out on the snowshoes, especially in this kind of snow?
It is so much fun. It literally feels like you're walking on clouds.
It is. And I mean, are you one of these people that likes to even run in the snowshoes? Because you can get, poles and do like almost a little workout with them,
Not a runner.
Not a runner. Not a runner without snow or with snow.
Not a runner either way.
Are you happy to have all of this?
Yes, this is like a fantasy land for grown-ups, just a playland.
And there's so many things to do too.
Yeah.
And really what's kind of amazing is I don't see too many people having problems getting around the roads.
No. They take really good care of the roads here.
The problem's probably, off of Route 4 a little bit on the side roads, right?
Yes.
All
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, go play in the snow, Abigail.
Thanks.
We won't keep you.
Okay.
All right.
Fun.
Thanks for talking to us. Again, guys, definitely dealing with some pretty nasty weather out here. If you don't like the cold, because we have wind chills that are sitting there 10 to 20 degrees below zero, unfortunately. And if you're not dressed for it, it's going to make you freeze up a little bit. Otherwise, let's go back to the studio in Atlanta.
He's so...
Or actually, better yet, let's go down to New York City at LaGuardia Airport and talk to Stephanie about the travel issues.
Yeah, let's do that. We have about 2-hour arrival days here into LaGuardia, and I know it's a little deceiving because we have blue skies. But, Jim, we didn't have to deal with too much snow here. But one of our friends of the Weather Channel, and perhaps if you're shoveling this morning and you need a little help, I got a guy for you. Check it out.
They put me to work here, so I'm going to go back to it. To all my friends, be safe. Bring it on. Football weather right here. Brett Michaels bringing you the weather from Erie, Pennsylvania.
Our junior meteorologist, Brett Michaels, love him. That was in Erie, Pennsylvania airport yesterday. Today, the airport's having troubles due to the wind, not because of the precip. But maybe you're able to get out and enjoy some of this snow. It's going to be really cold, so we want to talk about sledding. Now, remember, you're going 15, 20 miles an hour down a hill. You got to have everything covered. You're going to get significant wind burn on your face if you don't. Watch out for hidden obstacles underneath the snow. And this isn't just for sledding. A lot of people like to fall back in the snow. You can get stabbed with a sprinkler or something. You got to be careful. And if you are going that fast, remember, force equals mass times acceleration. So the heavier you are, the faster you're going to go. So, I mean, it's like getting hit by a boxer or a linebacker or a grizzly if you run into something like a tree. So make sure that you wear a helmet. You want to have those layers. And watch out for hypothermia, okay? That happens when your body loses heat faster than it can produce heat. So if you see someone that's going hypothermic, you don't want to, put them in a warm shower. You don't want to immerse them in that warm water too quickly. You want to warm the core first, because once your vital organs are taken care of, then the rest of your body will be a lot happier and it can take care of your extremities. But what happens is your body wants to protect your vital organs at all costs. So that's what you need to take care of first if you do run into a problem where it's very cold. Now here, if you're checking in, it's actually not too cold outside because they have all these heaters above the stations where you're going to check in for the men and women who are helping people check in. But we've had a variety of people, some who are properly dressed, you can't see much, to others who are just making a run for it, from the cab inside type of a thing. And, a lot of times Jim, a lot of times when you're headed to the airport and maybe you're going somewhere warm, you don't want to schlep all the heavy stuff, so you just do the run for it and freeze for those, few seconds you're outside.
Steph, I think I'm going to have to take a lesson from you. I think I overpack. I mean, especially these days, you got all these charger wires, you got phones, backup phones, IFBs, right? I mean, especially when we come out in the field, we got to have multi-layers of clothes. Land's End gives us a lot of gear, so you want to have multiple jackets.
Yeah. Well, I have some tricks, Jim, and here's the thing, you guys. So they always say, that women tend to pack a lot more. I literally can carry everything on with me. I have one rollerboard and one backpack. Jim, how big is your bag that you pack for winter storms?
I have this thing called The Office. As we look at this little poocher, look at him out here having a good time. Oh, it's so deep, he's having trouble making it through. All right, so what I do is I bring a backpack. So the key to that is I'm going to have all of the stuff that I need. Hello, baby. Oh, you are so precious. In that backpack, because if my bag doesn't make it, I mean, I got to stand out here in the cold. So to make sure kind of everything is in that all-in-one backpack, and then I pack another case that has everything with it. So that's the trick to that. What's this guy's name? Maisie. How you doing, Maisie? 4.5 months. Look at this beautiful, beautiful dog. Oh, baby. Oh, Abrams.
Right, so we'll let Jim
I'll tell you right now, I can't think of who's having
here.
more fun out here, me or Maisie.
You guys go have fun together. Everyone stay warm. Don't let the sun deceive you. It's still bitterly cold out there. We have live coverage throughout the entire day today on Harper and our next storm, Indra.